Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a really fascinating philosophical metaphor called Sophia's Roulette. And it's this weird name, I know, but it might just be the key to understanding our kind of chaotic modern world. So let's just dive right in with the question that's really at the heart of all this. What if the search for wisdom and meaning isn't some straightforward path? What if it's more like, I don't know, spinning a wheel and just hoping for the best? And look, you're not going to find this phrase, Sophia's Roulette, in some dusty old philosophy book. It's a totally modern invention, designed specifically to capture a very contemporary feeling. A feeling about wisdom, knowledge, and this chaotic world we're all just trying to navigate. Okay, so to really get what this phrase is all about, we got to break it down. Its real power comes from the tension between two completely conflicting ideas. So let's start with the first half. First up, we have Sophia. Now, this comes from the ancient Greek word for wisdom, and it represents that classic, noble pursuit of truth. It's the belief that we can use reason and logic to really understand our world. It stands for order, clarity, and knowledge that's actually achievable. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum, you've got roulette. Coming from the French for little wheel, it's a game of pure, unadulterated chance. This is all about a world that's just governed by chaos and randomness, where what happens is totally arbitrary and way beyond our control. So you see, the really crucial thing here is the head-on collision this phrase creates. On one side you have Sophia, deterministic, orderly, a logical pursuit. And on the other, you have roulette, random, chaotic, completely arbitrary. The metaphor literally forces these two warring concepts into a single idea. So what happens when you smash these two contradictory ideas together? Well, it does more than just sound cool. It fundamentally changes our whole relationship with the idea of truth itself. And that collision, that's the whole key. By putting them in direct conflict, the metaphor suggests that our entire search for wisdom might not be the linear, rational process we once thought it was. It's something way more unpredictable. I mean, think about it. This metaphor just totally flips our most basic assumptions on their head. All of a sudden, truth isn't some fixed point out there to be discovered. Nope, it's a fleeting outcome from a random spin. The pursuit of knowledge becomes a high-stakes gamble. After all, how can you logically search for truth in a world where everything is just arbitrary? Now, this whole idea of, tearing down old certainties, it's not totally new. It actually builds on a major philosophical movement called postmodernism, which is all about taking old ideas apart to build something new from the pieces. So this metaphor works as something called a postmodern synthesis, and you can think of it as a two-step process. First, you've got deconstruction. That's the tearing apart of old ideas about absolute truth. But then, and this is important, it recomposes, it rebuilds our relationship with wisdom in this new, uncertain landscape. So what exactly is being torn down? Well, that's where the roulette part of the name comes in. That's the deconstruction. It dismantles the belief in a single universal truth, those grand narratives that claim to explain everything, by injecting a dose of chaos right into those old certainties. But, and this is so key, instead of just falling into pure nihilism where nothing matters, the phrase keeps Sophia in the picture. The pursuit of wisdom itself doesn't just get tossed out the window. It's still there, even after the old certainties have been broken. And that is the recomposition part. Sophia stays, but it's like a ghost of a lost ideal. We still desire wisdom, we still go after it, but the goal is reframed. We're not trying to find some final, absolute answer anymore. Instead, we're just playing the ongoing, unpredictable game of seeking wisdom. Okay, so what does all this abstract philosophical stuff have to do with us, right here, right now? Well, it turns out that this tension between wanting truth and knowing the world is chaotic is a defining feature of our current cultural moment. This whole concept is what you'd call quintessentially metamodern. And metamodernism is just a term to describe the culture we're living in now, one that's constantly swinging back and forth, kind of like a pendulum, between the hope of the modern era and the skepticism of the postmodern one. And metamodernism just perfectly captures that feeling, That feeling of wanting to believe in big, sincere ideas and find meaning. That's our Sophia. But at the same time, we're super aware that the world is chaotic, and we're skeptical or ironic about those big ideas. That's our roulette.
We're living right in the middle of that tension.
And that, right there, is why this matters. This whole metaphor isn't just some clever phrase. It's a perfect snapshot of our contemporary condition. It embodies our deep, deep desire for meaning and truth in a world that so often feels random, unpredictable, and just completely arbitrary. So in the end, Sophia's Roulette leaves us with this one last really provocative question to chew on. If finding a final absolute truth is just off the table because the wheel is always spinning, well, maybe the only meaningful thing we have left is the act of seeking itself. Maybe the game, the quest, is the only truth we've got.